What's good, everyone? OJ here, and welcome back to another video. I wanted to talk about this recent news with EA because I think there's a lot of things that are being glossed over. There's a whole new generation of Nintendo fans and Switch fans that don't know the full story, and they are jumping to conclusions with the latest information and news out there about EA stating that they will have multiple titles releasing on the Nintendo Switch this year. So let's just get that information out, but then we're going to talk about why it's probably not what you think, and we're going to just go ahead and jump into this because as someone who's been covering EA and has seen EA over decades at this point, it's hard for me to take anything that they say at face value. And no, I'm not just being a paranoid Nintendo fan out here. There really is problems with what they say, but I'll give you guys the actual reason why this is happening. Some people think it's a change of heart and stuff. No, it has nothing to do with that. So let's go ahead and first start off with the information. So yes, we do know, you guys have probably all seen the news. EA has stated during their financial results call just a bit ago that they will be providing Nintendo Switch support. No details were given, but the company did reveal that they are set to release multiple titles on the Nintendo Switch this year. Now, we do know of one of those games, and that is Burnout Paradise on the Nintendo Switch, the remastered version, 60 frames per second. You guys all know the deal already, covered it on the channel, but if you don't know, it's coming on June 19th this year for $49.99, so probably have to wait for that price drop on that one. But they've also supported the Switch with really bad versions of FIFA, and people just got tired of the legacy versions of FIFA, so they'll probably continue to bring those things out because the Frostbite FIFA is still not on the Switch just yet. Heck, and we think there's been information from other content creators out there, Doc Trey in particular, that has made some videos saying that there might be, like, they've started working on Frostbite in terms of the engine for Switch like about a year or so ago, so they've started the porting process, but we still have no confirmation from EA at this point, so we'll have to wait and see. But in order to kind of understand where EA is right now with the Switch, we kind of have to go back just a bit because, like I said, there is a whole new generation of gamers out there that have no idea what happened during the Wii U era and why EA is so kind of against Nintendo or has a bad relationship with them. So to make a very long story short, back in the Wii U era before the system was launched, EA announced an unprecedented partnership with Nintendo, that there's going to be all sorts of games coming over to the Wii U. Like, they said this is their most powerful system, it's going to be beautiful graphics. They came out on stage in E3 and we're just raving about this thing, right? And then all of a sudden the tables turned. All of a sudden we got a couple crappy or inferior versions of certain games out there like FIFA and Madden and all of that, and then the support just dropped. Heck, they even canceled the release of Crysis 3 on the Wii U. We did end up getting Need for Speed and we ended up getting Mass Effect, but those were way later, obviously, than the original releases outside of other platforms, and they're both sabotaged for the most part. Mass Effect was full priced when EA just released the trilogy for the same price on PS3, 360, and PC, and Need for Speed was once again full priced and months afterwards, and it was just a bad look when it comes down to it at the end of the day, when people had plenty of 360s and PS3s, and the Wii U was essentially doing the same thing, a box that sits there, although you could disconnect it with a little bit of portable play, but you couldn't go too far, so it wasn't a unique enough concept for people to spend the extra money, at least like they're doing with the Nintendo Switch, which is a completely portable type of system where you can take away from your base dock and your TV. So there was issues, right? And the biggest thing with that was the fact that EA reportedly wanted to own or have control of how Nintendo's online works, and in order to facilitate their type of games. Nintendo said no, so essentially they wanted Nintendo to kind of have their EA games ran through Origin, and Nintendo was like, no way, that's not happening, reportedly. And therefore EA said, all right, well, we're killing all support then. If that's the case, then we're killing all support. combine that with the rough sales, combine that with the rough sales of their software, of the Wii U, and to them, they're just like, all right, see you later. And that started the seed that there's no need for Nintendo. I think that was the thing that has moved on from people that were there at the time and also the predecessors, right? Like people who are there, at least more like right now, and the predecessors. That seed of, well, we don't need Nintendo to be successful was planted, because before then, they'd always used Nintendo. They'd always had Nintendo systems and supported them with games in order to be successful. But that right there was the first initial thing. And EA did see great success, even though they were voted like most hated company or whatever 3 times in a row or 2 times in a row. They still saw tons of success with their games. And right there, it was like all of the executives were like, see, we don't need Nintendo. We don't need to deal with them. We're done for the most part, right? So that is kind of the history of the disdain for Nintendo. It came from that point, because up until then, EA had always supported Nintendo. How does this all accumulate to where we are now at this point, right? Well, let's look at what EA said not even that long ago, back in August of 2019. They essentially talked about how Switch owners, while they enjoy content on the Switch, that they have data that Switch owners have PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones and PCs and rather play their games on those platforms. They literally said that. EA's own CEO, Andrew Wilson, talking to investors when an investor made the simple question of, well, I mean, the Switch is doing really well. Why not have The Sims? It seems like it'd be perfect for the Nintendo Switch. This is what he said. This is what he had to say to these investors. Anytime we're evaluating platform conversations, we're really looking at a couple of things. One, does the game really fit the profile of that platform in terms of the control of the community ecosystem? 2, do we think the community playing on that platform would appreciate the game to go there, or would they prefer to play it somewhere else? We have a lot of data that would suggest a great many Switch owners also own a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One or a PC, and very often choose to play the games that we make on those platforms, even though they have a Switch and enjoy a lot of great content on the Switch. And he talked about how The Sims has 7 million new players and all of that. So it's not about growing the base. It's not about growing what you can do. It's like, well, we don't need to be on there because we have this. And that's what I talk about, the disdain, saying we don't need Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you would say, that's an opportunity to grow our base. But you're saying, we're cool with what we've got. We've attracted what we got. There's no need to expand. We don't need them. So that's why I said you guys need to really actually look into what some of these CEOs are saying in all this, right? Yes, this is part damage control because he sees that the Switch is doing well, and to investors, you're like, oh snap, I gotta tell them something because we're losing money here. But at the same time, it shows you that they felt that they don't need to have Nintendo, even if it results in making more money. They just don't need it. So what happened from August up until this point? Now we have all of these games. We have multiple titles set to come to the Switch. It's not because EA wants to support the Switch normally. It's not because EA was like, you know what? We were wrong. We have to support the Switch now. All it is to appease investors and to not look silly. Because the last time that they talked about it, it even gotten worse, right? Since August here, and what we know about the sales, Animal Crossing dropped, of course Fire Emblem kept going, Luigi's Mansion came out, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and the sales as of August of last year compared to where they are now at this point have blossomed, have ballooned up. It has just been record breaking when it comes to Nintendo Switch. So what are you going to tell your investors this time? You still have no Switch games? The Sims still wouldn't do well because look at what Animal Crossing is doing, absolutely destroying it in that life simulation style of game, right? Completely killing it on the Nintendo Switch because of the type of system that it is. So what are you going to tell them? What are you going to tell them? Are you going to continue to tell them that you have nothing? Are you going to continue to tell them that people rather play on these other systems that are on their way out, where Nintendo Switch is destroying them in sales pretty much worldwide? No, you can't say that. So you have to. You are forced into actually facing what's actually going on and seeing that, yeah, we have to bring out some stuff. But I still feel, in my opinion, that EA has that certain mentality that we're not going to fully support this. So people on my stream were talking about, oh, well, there's going to be like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and all of like the Dragon Age games and all of the Dead Space and all this cool stuff coming over, but that would actually take work, right? That would actually take time and effort and multiple things, like multiple logistics to go in motion to actually fully support what Nintendo would be doing with the Switch. And I just don't think EA wants to do that. I don't think they've committed to that point because they are fully dedicated at this point to going all in on the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox. They want to get those systems up and going. Yeah, they're going to release their content on PS4 and Xbox One, but they want those systems to start dominating. That's where they know they're going to make money. They're just doing this just to appease investors. A lot of these investors invest in other video game companies. They see what CD Projekt Red did and what The Witcher 3 selling 700,000 units plus, even though it was an old port full price. They see what Activision did with Crash Bandicoot and also with Spyro selling extremely well on the Nintendo Switch. They see what these other companies are doing. Even if it's not full support, there's still some support and making millions of dollars, and there was no way that they could continue to damage control and justify not putting out more content on the Nintendo Switch. It's plain and simple, and I don't think it's going to be anything crazy when it comes to support. Are there going to be some cool games here and there? Absolutely. But when you go from August from saying what he said right there, now to this point saying we have multiple titles being released, to me it just seems like they're doing it just so their investors can get off their back and not continuously ask them, why aren't you making money off of this 60 million plus selling system or wherever the Switch is at this point. So that's my take on it. I don't trust EA. I'm not sure if I ever will when it comes to what they have to say until I actually see them be more genuine. Like I said, they didn't necessarily lie to their investors, but they're definitely not being genuine in terms of growing the business and what they can do. So until I see them actually being a little bit more genuine, obviously multi-billion dollar, million-dollar business, it's tough to find that a lot, but I can't sit here and all of a sudden state that, oh yeah, EA is going to bring all this cool support to Switch, when they were just literally saying that, well, people want to play our games other places, we're good, you know? And now we have Burnout. I mean, it's just, I'm not so sure about this one, guys, but that's my take on EA and what they said about their support for the Nintendo Switch. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the link in the description. We've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.